This is District Sentinel Radio, the newscast of record for the left. I'm Sam Sachs.
I'm Sam Knight.
We're in the Sentinel Fort in Washington, D.C. Check out that website, districtsentinel.com. What's up, Pisstown pals, the Sam fam, coming to you live.
That's right.
Man.
We're here.
We're here.
There's no mail bomb.
No.
No mail bomb, no pipe bomb, whatever it is.
Clearly, whoever's doing this didn't listen to our show from a few weeks ago where we had one of our loyal listeners, one of our subscribers, call in saying respect your mail carrier. Don't put your mail carrier in danger by sending shit like this through the mail. I think they advised to just, like, in person, do violence, which we won't advise that, but don't send shit through the mail, people. It's kind of fucked up what's going on.
Even if it's a private sector letter carrier, don't do it. Just don't.
Yeah, don't. So, yeah, we've got Soros, the Clintons, the Obamas, Maxine Waters.
Is Michael Tracy okay?
All sent what appear to be mail bombs. John Brennan was sent one care of CNN, which caused CNN headquarters in New York to be evacuated. Apparently, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the sender of these packages. Not really. Her name, her office did appear under the sender address in these packages, which caused one of the packages, which was addressed to Eric Holder, but had Eric Holder's wrong address, to then be diverted back to the sender, which was Debbie Wasserman Schultz's office listed, which caused her office to then be evacuated as well. So clearly we aren't a breaking news team. We don't have a Sentinel team on the ground investigating this. We don't have much more to say to this other than look out for your mail carrier. Don't put your mail carrier at harm by sending bombs and shit through the mail.
Yeah. We're not going to be like MSNBC and speculate on every which angle of this. Here's the angle that we will speculate on, and it's not just speculation. This is a clear moral line. Don't fuck with your mail carrier.
Yes. Don't fuck with your mail carrier. Yeah. We also won't be Chuck Schumer and use this as an opportunity to blame both sides.
God. That was last night after the Soros. The Soros was the first one. That happened last night. And Chuck Schumer's response was to immediately take to Twitter and show what a good, respectable person he is by decrying violence against conservatives. And by violence against conservatives, he decried someone throwing a rock through some fucking backwoods House Reps fucking office window.
Yeah, you've got throwing a rock through a window versus sending a bomb that will kill people in the mail.
I'm just surprised Chuck Schumer didn't start a GoFundMe for whatever dinkus congressperson it was who had his window shattered.
Yeah. All right. It's Wednesday, October 24th, 2018. Here's the news. Thanks to another government watchdog report, we have more insight into the Trump administration's cruel and immoral family separation policy, mainly how poorly planned it was. The Government Accountability Office conducted a review of the Department of Health and Human Services handling of family separations, and efforts later to reunify those families. Kids separated from their parents at the border were put into the custody of the department's Office of Refugee Resettlement, or ORR. GAO reported on Wednesday that just as officials within DHS were caught off guard by the administration's new zero-tolerance policy at the border, which became official policy in April 2018, and which led to the family separations, Health and Human Services officials were blindsided by it too. Quote, HHS officials told us that agencies did not take specific planning steps because they did not have advance notice of the Attorney General's April 2018 memo. They became aware of the April 2018 memo when it was announced publicly. Due to the lack of preparation, besides the lack of preparation, officials did notice something was up. GAO interviewed people at the Office of Refugee Resettlement who observed in the months leading up to the April 2018 memo making this official policy, they noticed a tenfold increase in children referred to them who had been separated from their families. The matter was brought up with DHS in November 2017, but DHS didn't give any direction to the agency and stated there was no official policy on family separations, even though there was a de facto one that would be formally written down a few months later. Now, ORR did not have the technical infrastructure to keep track of kids and their parents to later assist with reunification because they didn't have a heads up. Also, staff in the 2 shelters in Arizona visited by GAO said that they were forced to modify their space to accommodate an increase in younger children. They had to convert classrooms to crib spaces for kids under age 5. They also had to train staff on the fly to handle caring for kids 12 and under when they previously had watched over mostly older kids. In June of this year, a federal court ordered that more than 2,600 kids in ORR's custody be reunified with their guardians. That was supposed to be accomplished by the end of July. It's now nearing the end of October. GAO is reporting that 437 kids still remain in ORR's detention.
It's interesting because we did a story, I think, last week maybe, or 2 weeks ago about a DHS report, an Inspector General report about...
I think that was about a month ago, yeah.
About HHS saying they had this database to be able to track these kids.
Yeah.
And they didn't have one. And Azar mentioned ORR in his testimony, and he said, I can go on the ORR portal, the computer portal, and I can find these kids anywhere with a click, with the mouse click.
Yeah. I mean, clearly...
I know that lying to Congress doesn't matter,
yeah,
but...
not anymore.
Here we are again.
I mean, clearly the awful thing is this policy is what's happening with the separation of families at the border. That's going to do permanent damage to kids. We've had kids who have been abused. We've had a kid die as a result of this. We shouldn't concern troll too much that they weren't prepared enough, that HHS didn't do this, but it shows just how cruel they were, just how quick the administration was to punish and harm some of the most vulnerable people out there without even taking the slightest steps to ensure that people weren't killed.
Right. It's not just a technocratic scolding.
Yeah.
We're dealing with kids that they're deliberately trying to traumatize, and we see their intent in how they don't give a fuck at every step of the way.
Yeah.
One thing you may have noticed in recent days, President Trump has promised at rallies to give middle-income Americans a 10% tax cut before the election. Not only is this a tacit admission that Republican tax cuts last year were an utter failure, but it's also impossible. Congress won't be back in session until after the election, and even if it was in session, the odds of it passing major legislation in a matter of weeks are slim to nil.
I like that he got Republican Kevin Brady. He was at some event for Brady, and he got Brady. He looped Brady into this promise and said, hey, this is happening, right, Kevin? As soon as you guys get back, you're passing this tax cut. And Kevin Brady's like, yes, you got it, Mr. President.
Well, it's not a surprise that one of the president's key allies in Congress is throwing cold water on the promise, or at least the proposal. Today, Orrin Hatch told the Washington Post that the chances of a pre-election tax cut happening are, quote, highly unlikely. Now, this comes the day after the White House trotted out human diaper Larry Kudlow to justify the president blurting out lies about a massive pre-election tax cut. It may not surface for a while, Kudlow said, but that's his goal. That's his policy intent. I don't see anything wrong with that. The economic advisor also said that the proposal was actually not an admission that last year's tax cuts were a total failure. Kudlow asserted that because of the cuts, quote, blue-collar people are booming. Booming. This isn't true. And as if you needed any empirical evidence of that, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, inflation-adjusted wages of non-supervisory employees have actually gone down. They have gone down since Trump took office. In January 2017, the average real non-supervisory wage was $9.29 per hour. In July, the month we have the most recent final data from, that measure was down to $9.20 per hour. So it's no surprise that Trump is desperate to make average people believe that he is on their side. It is funny, though, the election stuff, the tax cut stuff. I laugh every time I hear him say, it's obvious what he's trying to do.
Yeah, it's so blatant. It's so blatant. You hear that haiku music. This is normally the time in the show where we read some poetry, but we didn't get any new subscribers last night, so we don't have any haikus to read today.
I'll tell you what I can do, though, right now.
What can you do?
We usually read some of the chat comments at the end.
Yeah.
I will read some of the chat comments now.
Okay. Sam Knight is going to read some of the chat comments early.
So we have Keister saying, "Sup, Pisstown Posse." Ivan says, "Hola, Keister. Big naturals to ya." Keister says, "Ah, cool. You are the majority leader. Nice to meet you." Then we have
some Sentinel inside jokes.
Some more inside jokes. Check it out, Hisstown Pals, and it's a cat emoticon because Pisstown Pals.
Nice.
And then Alex has a take on our postal service commentary about, again, not harming letter carriers.
Yeah.
Send your bombs via Amazon drone, which, again, we ran it by our legal department. And don't actually send bombs via Amazon drone.
No,
Officially, we are not.
Please don't do that. All right.
Encouraging anyone to do this.
Good. We used up our haiku break. Just let me encourage everybody to get your friends to subscribe. Maybe Venmo them a few bucks. Buy them a subscription for a few months for the holiday season, or consider upping your own subscription. You can bump it up to like $15 and get a t-shirt after a few months. You can bump it up even more and get a shout out at the end of every show.
That's 50.
You can bump it up even more and you can name the dang studio.
That's right. That's right. Here's another thing where you can help us is you can tell your friends now that on midterm night, they won't have to suffer through MSNBC.
They can watch us.
They won't have to suffer through cable news. We're going to be here.
Live. For everybody.
All
no
night.
Paywall.
No paywall. No paywall. The paywall is coming down.
Yeah.
For the midterms, okay?
It is.
Coming down. We're putting on the coffee. We're going to get some pre-rolls. We're going to be on all night.
All right.
Or a lot of the night.
All right. Let's get back to it.
With the spotlight on America's unsavory allies in the wake of the Jamal Khashoggi killing, Elizabeth Warren is offering some pointed foreign policy critique, specifically critique of the dynamic between U.S. geopolitical interests and shady American corporate entities. Today, Senator Warren's office released a letter to the consulting firm McKinsey. This comes days after the New York Times reported that the company helped repressive state forces in Saudi Arabia. In 2015, the Saudi government hired McKinsey to do an analysis of media reaction to its austerity measures implemented after the decline of oil prices. One writer critical of the policies on Twitter, who was mentioned in the report, was arrested after McKinsey conducted its analysis. Another expat critic in Canada said, according to the Times, that, quote, Saudi government officials imprisoned 2 of his brothers and hacked his cell phone, an account supported by a researcher at Citizen Lab. In Warren's letter to the company, the lawmaker asked McKinsey to reveal details about the report. Who was it distributed to? Did it have sensitivity markings? How does McKinsey vet its foreign government clients, etc.? In response to the Times, the company had said this of its report to the Saudis, quote, "We are horrified by the possibility, however remote, that it could have been misused. We have seen no evidence to suggest that it was misused, but we are urgently investigating how and with whom the document was shared," end of quote. McKinsey is shocked that there is gambling in this establishment. Warren also asked the company, by the way, to provide an unredacted copy of that investigation when it's finished. Now, 2 days ago, Warren's office also released letters to top officials after BuzzFeed reported that a Delaware-based company called Spear Operations Group is providing mercenaries to the United Arab Emirates to carry out targeted assassinations in Yemen. Warren asked Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo about the report, noting that if it is accurate, quote, it raises questions about potential criminal liability for the participants and for any U.S. government official who may have been aware of or endorsed these activities. The founder of that company, Abraham Golan, told BuzzFeed this of his operations, quote, "There was a targeted assassination program in Yemen. I was running it. We did it. It was sanctioned by the UAE within the coalition. Looks like we got us some more right-wing criminals who will be forgiven by the next Democratic president to come to power. Got some looking forward, not backward to do. Although maybe Warren is saying she would take the opposite approach. Whatever she's doing, it's way better than the DNA test bullshit, that's for sure.
Well, that's not saying much. All right, finally, some troubling economic news. Sales of new homes plummeting off a cliff. The Commerce Department reported that new home sales is down more than 5% from last month, down over 13% over the last year. The market stands now at a 2-year low. Some of it can be explained by recent hurricanes in the south, but the region only saw a 1.5% decline. The west declined 12%, and the northeast saw more than 40% drop off. So it ain't just because of hurricane season. All of this taking place while the stock market reaches higher and higher, though with some recent volatility. Also comes after a bunch of rich people got tax cuts. But since a handful of rich people can't make up for the lack of demand, this month there was a surplus of 327,000 new homes on the market. That's up 3% from the month before and is the most since January 2009, which that time rings a bell.
Yeah.
That was during the last housing crisis.
I was going to say that was actually when the Democrats were about to take power and the markets were reacting.
That was when Rahm Emanuel and Obama were seizing a crisis. Not letting a crisis go to waste.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't do that.
Jeez. All right. That's the end of the show.
Shall we finish up some commentary here?
Yeah, any commentary to highlight here?
Chat room. One was funny. I probably shouldn't read it today because of the bombing stuff. There's a lot of bombing jokes.
Oh, by the way, we got Luke's call, as well as Luke's call, which I took as a rescinding his previous call.
Okay.
So we're not playing. If I got that wrong, Luke, I'm sorry, and I'll play your message tomorrow. But I got the vibe you didn't want it played based on your second message.
Okay, I'm reading through some comments here. I've got my speakers up to 10, Steve says, and you're only coming through at 8.25 right now.
They like it loud.
Maybe you could turn up the dial slightly on your side. I want my woofers hitting the 20K HZ by the haiku.
District Sentinel ASMR.
Joe says the conservative ethos is domination and cruelty. It's disgusting. Ivan giggled at human diaper, Larry Kudlow. He looks like a diaper.
Yeah.
He looks very smelly, Larry Kudlow. He looks like he's afraid of taking a shower because it'll give him another heart attack. Yeah. He does. Alex says the Sams refuse to take spontaneous combustion seriously, SMH.
I take it seriously.
That was to Ivan, who said blue collar people are spontaneously combusting.
Booming.
They're booming. Krill says, "Oh, that tasty piano." I guess referring to the haiku segment.
Yeah.
And,
well, hopefully we'll have some haikus to read tomorrow.
Nate says, "I heard something about big naturals." Not intern Nate, a different Nate.
All right. That'll do it. Call the rant line 202-684-6108. Sponsors of the show include the Congressional Dish podcast hosted by Jen Briney. Find it at congressionaldish.com. Another sponsor, levelnews.org. The newscast is back tomorrow on Thursday. We're here in D.C. so that you don't have to be.